In the end, it was one of those perfect days. Inside, candles were lit in every room, light throwing off haunting images on the walls of every wall in the small cottage. Outside the window, a steady, cold northern wind and a slow rain did all they could to wash the colors out of the leaves of the maple tree outside. Slowly I ran my fingers over the slightly oily but perfectly even colored skin. And as I did, I could smell the rich mix of sweet and bitter aromas, together with that unmistakable smell that tells me everything is going to be all right. As I broke off a piece and let it slowly melt in my mouth, I realized that tasting a good chocolate is very much like an invitation to a sensory explosion. But honored Toastmasters, fellow Toastmasters and guests, even as you realize the passion I feel towards a good chocolate, I must tell you that I do not love chocolate. In my opinion, until I change it, which I observe every right to do, the word love is probably one of the most misused words in the English dictionary. So misused that in fact, at times I can almost envision how the misuse we submit it to works much like the cold wind and the rain, to drain it of all its power, all that's strong and beautiful, leaving it just a watered out husk, nothing but a ghost of its former self, leaving it fall into the ground and into obscurity as an old world without any meaning. An etymologist would surely tell me that I'm standing in the way of the language's inevitable evolution into the future. He will also tell you that the word love does not imply anything but to hold someone or something dear. No limits. And of course, in a way, I must agree. But on another level, for me, love is so much more. For me, to love implies a deep and intimate personal relationship to another person or a group of persons. I was about 30 years old when I told my father the first time that I loved him. I'd shown him many times that I loved him, and he knew. But that particular day, it was particularly important that he knew how deeply I loved him and my mom. After I told him I loved him, we both stood silent a long time, and then we silently hugged and cried a little. And I can promise you there was no misunderstanding about what the word love meant to him and to me. Every time I hear a 13-year-old say that she loves a guy she never met, a couple that just met claim their love, a grown man claim his love for steak, or a woman her love for a pair of shoes, I cringe a little bit inside. For me, to hear the word love used thus is much like cursing, a proof sure of a limited vocabulary. A vocabulary that simply do not have enough words or imagination to identify and convey the elation they feel. Sure, there are many forms of love, and it's not the purpose of this speech to belittle any one of them. All I'm asking is that you choose your loves wisely, that you shelter the word love from misuse, that you reserve love for a feeling so deep that it can simply not be described in any other way, for a feeling so profound so overwhelming that no word added for emphasis will ever make it larger or more powerful. Ask yourself, do you really love that cake? Isn't it more that the thought of eating the cake makes you salivate in anticipation and of sinking your teeth into its sweet, succulent form? Think for a moment of the verb used, to make love. Have you ever heard or read about a conversation in which a man asks a woman to make love, and she immediately understands that it's baking cake he's talking about? And about that couple that claim after a single date their absolute love for each other. Is it really love? Isn't it more likely that it's simply lust or a way to fight off loneliness together? And if they still claim love at that stage, what words will they use 10 years down the road to explain that profound feeling of togetherness? The longing to be alone together, the knowing that in front of you is a true friend, a tested friend, a life partner. And that what you share together is the real deal. That what you share is real love. I know that society today is applauding the exaggeration and bold speech. Everything is supposed to be big and bold. A horror movie scares you out of your wit. An all-but funny comedian makes you pee your pants, or that chocolate cake sends you into nirvana. But in the case of love, I ask you to make an exception, to make a special case. I ask that you shelter the word love from misuse, that you put your feelings to the test and critically examine them, that you ask yourself if it's really love you're feeling or if you're not simply confusing love with some other strong feeling. That you shelter love so that the next time you use it, it conveys the full force of the feeling you have. That frequent misuse of the word have not drained it of its power. That the person your love is directed towards is in no doubt about what you mean, and that they do not see it as an invitation to turn the oven on.